one should be clear as to what happened. Please don't dream about something that happened. Write that down, make a complaint about it, and stick to it. Because if you start adding things on your own or what you thought that happened, that would only complicate the case.
Shikha, what are the basic sanitary provisions that every woman is entitled to by the law, irrespective of the sector she works for? Over to you.
Sanitary provisions. Now, sanitary is something which of late has picked up, the word has picked up fire. And it is only now that women are also not shying away from using this word. And, even making the men, when they say the word, stay there. It is not something which is hushed or in closed doors now. They come under the provisions of Article 21, that is the fundamental rights and the directive principles, that there have to be protection of environment and standard of hygienes are to be maintained. There are different articles to give effect, but nothing concrete is said about that. There are various judgments that touch upon it, but there is no law per se. Now there are one or two laws which touch upon the sanitary provisions, but they are really the old laws and they are related to the labor industry. Now there are separate urinals to be provided. There's something which is very prevalent in the contract labor, the Factory Act, the Mines Act, the Plantation Workers Act. Now something like different washing spaces is there, and again Factories Act, Plantation Act, BD and Cigar Act, Building and Construction Act. There are few campaigns that now the government is coming up with, where they educate the girls above class 8 about what the sanitary provisions are, what menstrual cycles are, how they have to dispose their sanitary napkins, and they have other things that they have initiatives where they provide them sanitary napkins, small, but across the board there is no law as such in place.
So, what does the menstrual leave policy in India say? Please elaborate.
Okay, menstrual leave. Now, this is something which is interesting because it's really talked about outside India and not something which we all discuss, because um, periods, as we consider a very sensitive topic, it is not openly discussed. Now, yes, there has been a bill that has come up during 2017. It was tabled by Ninong Earing, and he's an MP of Arunachal Pradesh. He understood that it is important, and there are various things the bill proposes which are good, and some of these things are that it aims at giving you holiday for 4 days. Of a woman, I'm talking about here, 4 days, and that is if you choose to. You can take all 4 days or less than 4 days, depending on your thing, and depending on your pain or discomfort that you feel during your menstrual days. Now, if you choose not to take those 4 days off, you are given allowance for that. If you're working in that period, you are allowed a 30-minute break 2 times a day, and they provide you with creches and beds, and that sort of comfort is there. But presently, there is no such thing in place. But they aim that at least 2 days paid leave. That is what the bill says that one should have. They aim at 4, but 2 is what they're sure they want to give. Now, any complaints against this, they want the ICC to handle it, because that is something which is already in place. The system's in place, so it will become easy, because that's a redressal forum for women, which is already there, as we spoke about. Now, one thing which they aim at is that it provides leave for all women, because all women go through this cycle. It is not necessarily related to blue collar jobs or white collar jobs or people who are into mine working or factory. It's for everybody across board, all women. One place where it has been prevalent is in Bihar, and it's been there since 1992. They call it the special casual leave, where the women are allowed 2 days leave depending on their cycle. And one other place is in Kerala, that is the girls above standard 8 are allowed leaves during menstrual cycle, but how many, that is again subjective to the state. But across the board, there's no such law.
Shikha. Shikha, please elaborate on maternity leave in India. Statistics show that only 1% of the female workforce avail this. What are your thoughts on this? And what does the law say?
Okay. Maternity Leave Act came in around 1961. and it's been there for a very long time. So we feel something which is already there since time. So it's going to be well in use and everybody is using it. But as you said, the stats say a very different story. Now, India, after the latest amendment, is one of the countries which gives the highest maternity leave possible. According to the amendment of 2017, maternity leave is for 26 weeks, which is phenomenal. And it is not that you take it in one stretch. You can break it into pieces. You can take it before the birthing of the child, after, during. You can mix and match and take it according to your comfort. And the jump has been big because it was 12 weeks earlier and now it is 26. There is a policy which is under construction and making, that the government would like to take a little burden off from the employers and provide for that 14 weeks that has come in now, but that's still underway. Now, during this maternity leave, a woman cannot be terminated because that's a guarantee. And how these wages during these times are calculated is that one has to be working with the employer for at least 80 days in the last 12 months' time, and the average of the last 3 months she's worked, that wage is taken out, and that is the wage that is given to her during her maternity leave. It is on the employer to give the details while during signing the contract about the details of how the leaves work, how they are, because employer is somebody who is in a more powerful position in our times right now than the employee. It is mandatory for them to educate their employees and take it forward. Now, when we talk about maternity leave, the act has been liberal, and it does not just include when the child has been born or delivering of a child. It could even be when there's a miscarriage that happens. So one can take off during that time. And it even respects the fact that if there is any operation that a woman has undergone, then also certain days are provided. So if there's a procedure which is undertaken by women, that there's no further pregnancies. So after that operation, 2 weeks are given for the woman to rest. And if there's any illness that happens after any procedure, miscarriage, birthing, anything of that sort, then whatever the standard time is given for maternity leave, 1 month more than that is also provided. So the rest is adequate for the woman. When there are more than 50 people in the employment, then again the beds and the creche and everything has to be, because it's a proper sector, it is a proper organization that has come into being. Once the child is born, a woman is allowed 2 breaks in between for nursing and relaxation, and 4 times a day she can take that rest in between. A very big loophole in this act is that somebody needs to be part of this scheme or this act when there are 10 employees or more. So many of the workplaces, there are not as many as 10 employees that are there. So they find this loophole and they do not take part in this. So only in these organized sectors where women are working, they are aware about their rights, and they know that this is to be availed by them. If they're working in a plantation or a minefield or in a BD manufacturing thing or in any other unorganized sector where the government is not involved or where proper legal rules are not followed, then one is not entitled to go ahead and avail these. There are other acts, that are the Factories Act and the Working Journalists Act, where they have been providing maternity leave for 12 weeks. That is in place. But the amendment is for 26 weeks, is for Maternity Leave Act 1961.
This was totally knowledgeable, Shikha, what you just said. What is a special message for all the people out there, your experience working with so many different lawyers and advocates and the court? Over to you.
My limited experience, I can tell you something which I've learned on the way is you should really stick to what is right, what has actually happened. If something has happened, like you do, like write a dear diary, write it down and understand what happened and stick by it. There's no reason to blow up the issue or make it small in your mind. And whatever anybody else around you might be saying, somebody even who's helping you or going against you, you should understand what exactly happened. Because something that happened on Monday, you might not remember the small nuances by, let's say, Saturday. So if you write it down and you know what happened, you can work forward with it. There are many people who will try to question you and make you think about something which did not happen. making it small or big, that depends on the situation and the person asking it. But when you go in for a complaint, this is irrespective of a woman making a complaint or a man making a complaint or even a child making a complaint. One should be clear as to what happened. Please don't dream about something that happened. Write that down, make a complaint about it, and stick to it. Because if you start adding things on your own or what you thought that happened, that would only complicate the case and waste more time for you to get justice and redressal, which defeats the purpose. Because courts do want to help you out. We are not sitting here to just prolong cases. That we need to impart justice to everybody.
सही कंप्लेंट करना, मजिस्ट्रेट को भी सही रिपोर्ट लिखाना हमेशा आपके फेवर में जाएगा. आप जितनी बार गलत रिपोर्ट लिखाओगे, आप हमेशा केस हारोगे.